Soccer. It's the European version of the crate climbing videos we've seen all week. You're not sure how they got started, you're not sure why so many people seem to care so much about them, but if you're not careful, you might find yourself spending an entire afternoon watching it. And after falling spectacularly multiple times over the last couple of years, Atlanta United has dusted itself off and is once again climbing up the crates, looking to make it down to the other end safely. Winners of 4 straight, they're one of the hottest teams in the MLS, and a new coach takes over this weekend when they take the field at Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Nashville. And this week on 90 on Peachtree, I'm going to be joined by my good friend Haris Kruskic, a huge Atlanta United fan and a former contributor to Dirty South Soccer. Haris and I talk about new coach Gonzalo Pineda and what to expect from him, the team's awesome recent run of form led by coach Rob Valentino, Joseph Martinez and his wonderful celebrations, and many, many other things Atlanta United related and not. Haris Kruskic, welcome to 90 on Peachtree.
Hey, Corey, thanks for having me.
So, for starters, I think this question's on everyone's mind. Is Rob Valentino the greatest manager of all time?
Well, he certainly did a tremendous job for his small stint in Atlanta United history, and what a stint it was. It's crazy. I think often in soccer, we forget when hiring managers that the players liking the manager is actually incredibly important. And sometimes we take it for granted, as we clearly with lines. But it's amazing that once you can figure that out, and if you can go from players just liking you to loving you, as we Marquez will vouch for Rob Valentino, at any point that he can. It's amazing what we get out of those players on the field when that's really all they need. And so I think for Atlanta United to recognize that, hey, this guy won't be here for very long as a head coach, but it's important that we get players or get coaches that players can unite around. And they recognize that with Rob, and they recognize that with Gonzalo Pineda. And so that was a huge step for them, and it might have only been, a very, very short amount of time for Rob Valentino to helm, but I think people will remember this for a really, really long time.
And what's one aspect of the team, whether an individual player or just maybe one thing you've seen during the matches during this run that has stood out to you the most?
Wow. Well, it's one thing to say that you're going to be an attack-minded team. I felt like Frank de Boer said that. I felt like Gabriel Heinz said that. But it never really came to fruition. Even with de Boer's success, we never really saw a true attacking team. At least consistently, we didn't. With Rob, he was basically saying, look, I know that my players love to attack. I know that that's what they want to do, and if we concede a goal here and there on a counter, it's okay. That's just how we play. And I really respected the fact that he was willing to do that, especially in an interim role where, and again, maybe he felt that being in an interim role, there wasn't a ton of pressure on him to go ahead and just say hey, you know what, we're going to go attack and we'll see what happens, and great things happen. So I think the fact that he was just willing to attack and not care about what the negatives of him doing that could be, I respected that a lot, and I think the players did too.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've thought about. What level of playing with house money kind of approach did he have? Because you don't want to take it too far, and then it's oh, well, I might not get another head coaching chance again. But if, again, you said you're the interim guy and you have your chance to make an imprint for the short amount of time, yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
You saw it last year with Stephen Glass, and he didn't have nearly as much success as Rob Valentino did. Obviously, Stephen Glass was around for a lot longer, but even he got the manager job at Aberdeen. And Rob Valentino was asked a couple days ago, about his future outlook, and he was like, "Yeah, I have career goals, but that's not something that I really focused on." But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a couple head coaching interviews next year in MLS. I just can totally see it happening.
So going from Rob now to Gonzalo Pineda, what is your level of excitement and curiosity about what he's going to bring to the team, given that, no one really knows what kind of coach he's going to be since he's never been a head coach before?
I think that I mean, first and foremost, again, I love what I've heard from players that he's previously coached at Seattle are similar to Rob Valentino. It seems like players will die for him. The way that they talk about him and the way that they talk him up, that's a huge step. And I think it's really good that Rob is staying on the coaching staff. I think that having two guys like that can only help things. So that's first and foremost what I'm most eager to see is how those Atlanta United players and these new crop of players feel about him, because he's going to have to make a very similar case for himself that he did at Seattle, but I think he will. I'm curious to see how similar his coaching strategy is to that of AllStar in Seattle. Gonzalez Pineda has preached that they're going to be an attack-minded team. At times in Seattle, we haven't seen that throughout the years. Not to say that they haven't been a great team. They've probably been the best team in MLS for years now, if we're being honest. And so I'm interested to see, again, can he follow through with what he wants in terms of an attack-minded team? How much does he change from Rob Valentino? Hopefully not a lot. I think we've seen it's a small case study with Rob Valentino, but I think that what he's been able to show, I hope Gonzalo Pineda sees that and says, you know what, let's just keep doing this. And it's okay. When you come in as a new head coach, you don't have to be like, you know what, I have to enforce what I want to enforce. If things are working, let them keep going. So I hope, that's my hope for Gonzalo Pineda, and let's see if he actually follows through with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I read in an interview that Pineda said he's been watching a lot of Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel recently. So as a Man City fan, does that rub you the wrong way at all?
Oh man, that one hurts. I hate that you brought that up. You know what? I do see and kind of perceive Chelsea a lot differently now since the last Champions League final. I had no problems with Chelsea until that, but no, look, Thomas Tuchel is one of the best minds in soccer. So if he's looking at this team and it's fascinating. I didn't actually see that quote, but it's interesting that he would kind of be looking at Chelsea as an example of how he wants to play. That's really good, actually. I can see a lot of similarities between what Chelsea does and Atlanta do. So, all that to say is I'm more than happy with that, just because I respect Thomas Tuchel so much. But that one stings. That one stings.
So obviously we're going to be interested to see how much he changes and how quickly. One player kind of at the forefront of that could very well be Luiz Araújo. What have you made so far just of his couple appearances, and what do you see Atlanta United doing with him? Is it just going to be they're going to run those four attackers out there every game and let them do their thing?
Yeah, it's funny. We've seen these players like Ezequiel Barco and Marcelino Moreno thrive over the past few matches, probably in the best form to date that they've been with Atlanta United. And it's only been 2 matches with Luiz Araújo, and it's going to take time. It always does in MLS. One example is like Alan Franco. He admitted that his first couple months here, he really struggled with the pace of MLS because it's just up and down the whole match. You know, Alan Franco from Argentina, where they're a lot more possession based. And I think it's probably similar in Ligue 1 if I had to guess. So even for attackers, I think it's difficult to try and do that kind of pace. But honestly, I don't think he's been bad at any point in his first 2 matches. His first match, I thought he was actually really good. Second match, he was so-so. You can tell that he's really pushing it in the sense that he wants to make a really good impression. It's really clear that you can see that because he's shooting every time he gets, it seems like. But that's not a bad thing at all. And you can see that the quality is there. It's just a matter of time. There's not really much doubt in my mind. During the first couple of matches, he's been doing things that reminded me a lot of Tito Villalba when he was on the team. And I think Araújo, his quality compared to Villalba's, no disrespect to Villalba's, but I think Araújo is a much more complete, much better player. But it's just been really nice to see a player like, wow, they're attacking straight down the field with their pace, using their skills, and just going for it. So that's been a nice change of pace. I feel like I haven't seen that in a little while from Atlanta United players. But again, past few matches, we've seen it from a couple different players, which is awesome. So it's just a matter of time for Luiz. I think we'll see a goal from him pretty soon.
Yeah, that would be great. And you and I both know the MLS season is a marathon. It's really long. Teams can get really hot and go to really cold. I mean, Atlanta's done that basically already this season on both ends of the spectrum. So where we are now, Rob Valentino era is done. Pineda begins this week. Is Atlanta United a playoff team?
Oh, 100%. There's not a doubt in my mind. Like, I would be shocked if at this point we did not make the playoffs. I think that we have finally found what makes us really good. And we've kind of, I don't want to say, I mean, yeah, we lost our identity for a while there, and I think that they found it again. And it's a really good crop of players that I think just weren't in the right system and weren't being given the freedom that they all really crave. Like, I know Marcelino Moreno touched on it a lot after their last win, and basically saying, like, this is who we are, this is how we must play. So I think that just having the right mentality automatically makes them a playoff team. Forget about, let alone the amazing talent that they have on the team. When you introduce that, there's no doubt in my mind that you need to be a playoff team. Honestly, I was looking at the stakes and I'm like, wow, Orlando City in second place, only 7 points away. Like, it's not, I could see us honestly getting a home field advantage in perhaps the first round of the playoffs. And, who knows, if you can stay hot, doesn't mean that they won't lose a few more matches down the road. Of course they are, but ride this momentum as much as you can. And I think that Gonzalo Pineda and Rob Valentino are really going to kind of enforce that on their players to say, like, hey, even after bad matches, we're kind of right where we want to be in a really weird way. After all of the madness that happened the past couple months, I think Atlanta United doesn't feel that bad about where they are right now. Agreed.
So I have one more for you, Atlanta United centric, and then we'll kind of get into a little rapid fire. So excluding the MLS Cup night where Atlanta won the Cup, what has been your favorite Atlanta United moment or experience or memory so far since the club has come to Atlanta?
Wow. Man, there are some great moments. Two that immediately came to mind for me. I know the diehard Atlanta United fans will remember this match, but when they were still playing at Bobby Dodd Stadium, a match against the Houston Dynamo that was delayed. I believe it was a couple hours due to rain. And I just remember waiting under the bleachers of Bobby Dodd in the concourses. And obviously a lot of people left, but a lot of people stayed too, which I was really impressed by. Again, it was super early into Atlanta United's history. And so we waited it out for a couple hours, and the atmosphere of that match was probably one of my favorites. Definitely my favorite during the Bobby Dodd era. Just seeing, Miguel Almiron score, seeing Andrew Carleton make his MLS debut, I think it just all culminated into like this incredible experience of, watching this team play for 90 minutes, and it was probably like close to midnight. It was awesome. And then another one that came to mind was the Eastern Conference Final first leg against the Red Bulls, winning 3-0. And I think two moments in that match specifically, the huge tifo at the beginning, the stadium one was incredible. Probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen at a sporting event. And then Tito Villalba finishing off the match in the dying stages of it for us to win 3-0. In my opinion, that's that's when I kind of knew. I was like, I think this is our year, and I would be surprised if it wasn't. So yeah, incredible moments.
Yeah, it's interesting that that Dynamo game. I was actually at a Braves game that night. I think it was July 4th, and that game got delayed too. And it ended up, they played and finished, but like checking through Twitter and seeing everything about Atlanta United, it was like, whoa, like we missed an Atlanta United moment tonight. So that's always awesome to hear people who are there talk about it.
That was incredible for me.
So the episode will post on Thursday, so we'll get an immediate answer to this. Who wins the MLS AllStar Game tomorrow night between the MLS All-Stars and the Liga MX All-Stars?
Oh man, that's a great question. I feel like a bad guy or like a traitor saying Liga MX, but I'm gonna say Liga MX, and I don't really fully know why. I think in the back of my head, I've always felt like Liga MX was just a little better quality than MLS, but also you're getting the best 20 players in each league, right? So is the quality really that different at the top? Maybe not. I might have just convinced myself to actually go with MLS. So I'll go with MLS. I'll cheer on Miles Robinson and George Bello. Yeah.
Okay, second one. Did you shed a tear over the weekend when Joseph and Julian hugged and exchanged jerseys after the match?
Wow, it's amazing. You know, despite Julian Gressel's probably hard feelings about Atlanta United's front office and how that all played out, it is amazing how much he loves Joseph Martinez and how much Joseph Martinez loves him. It's actually really, really, special to watch. Like, I know last week, I think Joseph said that he missed Julian Gressel, and obviously that had a lot to do with all the crosses and services he was getting from Julian. But I can just tell that they're also really, really good friends, and I think that they both pushed each other a lot when they were playing together. It was a very, very special moment, and I'd love to eventually have Julian back, though, if they can work things out salary-wise. But yeah, that was special.
Have you ever thrown a controller after losing a FIFA match?
That's a good one. I have never personally thrown a controller. I'm not one to get like overly angry, as you and I have known each other for years now, so you probably are aware of my goal, I guess, attitude. I have been in situations where other people got mad at me, and one of the most violent encounters that I've ever had in my life had to do with FIFA, and I wasn't even playing in the match. But a few friends and I were this was years ago when we were probably in either high school or college, but we were in the basement of one of my friends' houses. So we were all just taking turns FIFA, and one of my buddies, he was losing pretty bad. I think it was like 3 or 4-0, and I guess he thought I was trying to patronize him by saying this, but I was like, hey, it's all right, man, good game. And he got up and pushed me as far as I've ever been pushed. It was crazy. He was like, I guess he just took it the wrong way. I really wasn't trying to patronize him, but he was hot. He thought I was. And so, yeah, that was probably the most violent FIFA moment that I've ever been a part of. We still bring it up to this day. We're very good friends still. But it's funny because that was so bigger of my friend too. He's just not the type to get that angry, but it happened that night. FIFA can bring the worst out of people sometimes.
Yes, that is very true. Okay, next one is Lionel Messi's move to PSG just the first step in him coming to Atlanta?
I thought you were going to ask me MLS, in which case it was going to be a very straightforward yes. He will be in MLS after his time at PSG. Atlanta United, I don't know if Atlanta United really goes for that kind of transfer. I mean, it's Messi, but they've shown me at no point are they willing to spend money on a player older than 25. So I would be very surprised as it becomes so united. But YC, Inter Miami, probably. I could definitely see that.
Okay, who wins in a fight? 10 bear-sized George Bellows or 2 T-Rex-sized Brad Guzans?
Ooh. That's an amazing question. 10 bear-sized Bellows or 2 T-Rex-sized Guzans? Oh, wow. So, okay, do they have the capabilities of like a bear and a T-Rex, or are they just that big?
Just size.
Okay, just size? Okay. Man, I'm gonna say T-Rexes are huge. Like, I think we forget as people, as a civilization, how big T-Rexes were. I'm gonna go to T-Rexes. Like, bears, again, they're very big animals, but I think Guzan would just stomp out Bello 10 times easily. And you have 2 of them, so that's 5 each. Yeah, that's easy. That's an easy answer. I'm taking 2 T-Rex sized Guzans.
I love how you very succinctly reasoned that out.
You know me, I love my logic. I love questions like this, so I think through these scenarios all the time.
A couple more. If this year's Atlanta United team was a movie, which movie would it be?
I feel like it's one of those corny old sports movies where the team is just really bad at the beginning, and then they suddenly like get really good and then make a run to the title, which I think is going to happen in bold prediction. Maybe like, honestly, a Bad News Bears is a pretty good comparison, I think, where they were kind of just a joke in the beginning and really spiraled, and then they bring in a coach who just fires them up. So I think Bad News Bears is a pretty good comparison.
Awesome. Who is your favorite Atlanta rapper or hip hop group?
Ooh, of all time?
Sure.
Or right now? Okay. I'll do both then. All time, it has to be Outkast. Just what they've done for the city of Atlanta and how they managed to put the city on the map with what they were able to do nationally. It's got to be Outkast, and there isn't really like a week or a month that goes by that I don't listen to at least one full, a Stankonia run through. So they're legendary, and they've cemented themselves as one of the greatest in hip hop of all time. Right now, as much as he has really been super active in his music, I'm still gonna go with Childish Gambino. I think that his creativity is something that we haven't seen out of Atlanta rappers and Atlanta music in quite some time. And just the creative mind that he is, not just in music, but in TV and really anything that he does is just incredible. So I'm holding out for another album from him. I know he's really filming the next season of Atlanta, but I think Gambino would be my pick.
Okay, I have 2 more for you, and I know this one is going to be right up your alley, and it might make you miss Atlanta a little bit. What is your go-to cookout order?
I knew what was coming. I had a feeling that we're going to head down that road when he said that, and I'm glad that it did. So my go-to cookout order, and I miss it dearly. For those who aren't aware, I lived in Atlanta, now live in New York. There are no cookouts up here, so I'm very sad about it. But I often think about a big double tray, everything on it, plus cheese and tomato. This is kind of different. I've been switching up my sides relatively often over the years, but I settled on 2 chicken quesadillas because who doesn't want 3 entrees for the price of 1? So 2 chicken quesadillas for my sides, and then a huge cheer wine no ice. I thought about Cheerwine a couple days ago, and I actually looked up where I could find some in New York. There's a place about 50 blocks or so from me that does in fact sell Cheerwine. I've just been too lazy to go and actually get it, but yeah, I would say that that's really the perfect. If I'm feeling up to it, M&M Oreo shake too.
I knew you'd come through with all the details on that answer, so thank you very much. And lastly, who wins on Saturday between Atlanta and Nashville? And give us a score prediction as well.
Ooh, this is a great litmus test for Atlanta United. I think this is by far the best team that they've played over this really good stretch that they've had. Man, can they keep the win streak alive? It is a home match. It will be Gonzalo Pineda's first match. You know what? I'm gonna say 2-1 Atlanta. I think it'll be a really entertaining match, and I think this will be the first match where the rest of the league is like, oh shit, Atlanta United is back. And so, yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 Atlanta United.
All right, sweet. Well, y'all heard it right here. Haris, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This has been super fun, and we look forward to having you back in Atlanta at a match soon.
Oh, I can't wait, Corey. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again for joining me, Haris. Be sure to follow Haris at his handle here below on Twitter. Follow me as well at Corey the Napper, along with us here at Atlanta Sports Unlimited, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please and thank you. And that'll do it for us this week. Like we've said, Atlanta United plays Nashville on Saturday afternoon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we'll see you guys next week here on 90 on Peachtree.